Please activate the subtitles.
This video is part of a series of videos in which I'm not going to make a script, and it's called Real Life English. Well, I'm not driving at the moment. I've just arrived at work. I am in the parking lot, you know. So today I'm going to talk about something really controversial. I'll talk about racism. Yes, I'll talk about racism. So without any further ado, let's get started. In my last video I mentioned that when I was 15 years old I worked as an office assistant, and my boss used to call me Indian boy, even though he knew I was Brazilian, you know, I wasn't from India. He was just calling me that because of the color of my skin, of course. In the video I also said that this fact that my boss used to call me Indian boy didn't bother me whatsoever, because I had some friends who had come from India, and what was the problem about that? None whatsoever. But many people talked to me and convinced me that, yeah, my boss was being racist because he should have been more professional and never bring up anything related to my color. You know, well, and many people after that video, many people have come to me and asked me whether I've experienced any kind of racism living in the UK, because you might know now that I lived in the UK for a long time, and it's just natural that people come to me with this question, because many people are afraid to go to Europe because of the racism that they believe they'll suffer over there. So yeah, I'll tell you my personal experience with racism in Europe in general, the countries that I've been to, especially in England. In general, British values are tolerant and respecting, you know, everyone, so you won't see anybody admitting that they are racist on the street, for example. And if you ask anyone, people in general will say that they are tolerant with any kind of religion or nationality, and that they respect anyone of any color. In general, it would be highly unlikely that you'll see a racist walking around in the UK, you know, saying, I'm racist, you know. No, you'll never see that. However, I'll tell you my personal experience with racism in the UK. First of all, you need to understand how my brain works, you know, I'm different. Seriously. If you ask me whether I suffered any kind of prejudice in England because of my skin colour while I was living there, I'll automatically say that no, I haven't suffered from prejudice or racism. I've never felt that anyone was being racist towards me. But now, looking back, you know, thinking about my own past, I've noticed that maybe I have suffered from racism, but I didn't notice. Yeah, I didn't care, you know. I'll try to explain it better by telling you some situations that happened to me since I was a child. When I was a very young boy, I used to study in a public school, and everyone in my class was white but me. I was the only dark-skinned child in the classroom. And I remember that one of the boys started calling me Chocolate Boy. And every time he called me Chocolate Boy, the other kids laughed a lot. Yeah, they laughed at me, because this boy was calling me Chocolate Boy. But I didn't cry or anything, you know. I didn't realize it was something aggressive at the time, you know. So the next time he called me Chocolate Boy, I said, yeah, I know, I am Chocolate Boy, and your mum loves chocolate, right? She told me that last night when we were together. Yeah, and then all the other kids were like, whoa, and they started laughing at this boy for weeks and weeks, you know. After that day I made many friends, and after some time this boy who used to call me Chocolate Boy also became my friend. So, do you think I suffered from racism in this occasion? Yes, you can say that, yeah, I suffered from racism. A white boy calling a black boy, oh hey Chocolate Boy. This is some sort of racism, but you know, I didn't care, and I just made fun of him. It was okay for me, you know. So yeah, simple as that. That's why I say that I've never suffered from bullying nor from racism, because if I did, I didn't even notice these things were happening. I didn't notice these things as racism or bullying, you know. So I basically only remember these two situations that happened to me, you know, that people made fun of me because of my skin color. You know, when this boy called me chocolate boy, and when I was working as an office assistant and my boss called me Indian. So, but in general, you know, throughout my life in England, people have always treated me with respect in the UK. Not only in England, but also in Wales and Ireland. People didn't treat me differently just because of my color. But yeah, I can't say that racism doesn't exist in the UK. I remember that in 2016, I was living in Brazil, and then I went back to England in order to take a linguistic course. And then again, in my classroom, there were many white people. There were only two dark-skinned people, me and another guy, you know. And this other guy, this black guy, he was black and he was born in Kenya, but he was raised in England. So he had a very classic way of speaking English, you know, British English. He didn't use slangs. He was like a nobleman from royalty, you know. You could say, oh, this guy is a prince, you know. He's from the royal family because of the way he spoke. And he was very polite and highly educated. So there were only two black guys, you know, me and this guy from Kenya, and the other guys from the group, guys and girls, they were white. One afternoon after our class, we decided to walk in the streets of Cambridge, and then we were walking and we decided to go into a pub in order to have some draft beer. We got into a place and we ordered our beer, and we were sitting there drinking, talking, and we were approximately 10 guys. From the 10 guys, 7 ordered beer, including myself, of course, and 3 of us didn't order anything. One of the guys who didn't order anything was this guy from Kenya. Oh, I've just remembered his name. His name is Gakuru. Gakuru, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't talk to him anymore. I've lost touch with him. But his name was Gakuru, and he didn't order anything, you know. But we were talking. He was talking as well, you know, joking around, making fun, laughing. We were just there, sitting, drinking, and talking. But he wasn't drinking anything. Then he said, "Oh, I've changed my mind. I'll order something to drink." There wasn't a waiter, so if you wanted to drink something, you had to go to the counter and order your drink and get the drink yourself and go back to the table yourself. You know, there wasn't a waiter. So he stood up and went up to the counter in order to order something to drink. But when he was walking, a group of men stopped him. It wasn't a large group. It was just like 3 men stopped him. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but they took him outside violently. And then I told the other guys, "Hey, they took Kuro outside. Let's go there. What happened?" And we stood up and we went outside to see what had happened. And these 3 guys who took Kuro out, they were screaming at him, and they were swearing at him, and they were saying something like, "Go back to your own country." And they said many aggressive and racist things to him. I'm not gonna, you know, say what they said because these things were really bad. You know, I don't want to remember that, but you know, you can imagine. And I was really shocked, you know, because you know, I was really shocked with that situation. And then I screamed something like, "Hey, leave my friend alone!" And then this group of bullies saw that we were like 10 guys, you know, 9 guys, and they were just 3, so they left. They just walked away. We started running after these 3 guys, but they ran faster and they escaped. We called the police, but they took a long time to get to the place, and the guys had already escaped. We went back to the pub with Gakuru and we tried to cheer him up, but we couldn't, because he was extremely sad with the situation. He didn't even go to class the following day. On this following day, I went to his house with another friend of ours from the classroom, a girl from our class, and she was really beautiful. She had ginger hair, and freckles. She was so beautiful. Oh, okay, but anyway, it's not the topic of this class. And of course, my girlfriend nowadays is much more beautiful than this girl, of course, because my girlfriend nowadays is the most beautiful girl in the universe. She's a fairy. She's my princess. But let me focus on the story. I want this video to be quick, for God's sake. So this girl and I went to Gakuru's house to talk to him because he had missed the class, and he opened the door and offered us some tea. Gakuru was the most British person I've ever met in my entire life, up to this day, you know. What a British lad he was. So we talked about what had happened the previous evening, and he was saying that he was also shocked because it had never happened to him before. So it was the first time in his life that he had suffered from racism. And then Gakuru said, "Oh, you guys will never understand. It will never happen to you because you both are not black." And then I looked at the girl, and I looked at him, and I said, "Oh, what? I am black, mate. Just look at my color. I am black." And he said, "No, mate, you're not black. You're Brazilian." And I was really confused because I had always thought of myself as a black person, you know. But I didn't insist. I didn't really insist on that because, you know, why? So I just agreed with him, like, "Oh yeah, I'm Brazilian, okay." But I was thinking to myself, oh, what the hell? I'm black. It's interesting, isn't it? The way you see yourself may not be the way people see you. For some people, there are only two races, you know, black and white. But some people don't even agree that there are different races because we are all part of the human race. So there's only one race, the human race. And for some other people, there are many different kinds of races. Like you're Asian, you're black, you're white, you're Pardo, you know, and different kinds of races. And for some people, if you're not white, you're automatically black, and vice versa. But here in Brazil, it's insane because I have a cousin who has the same skin color as mine, but she's got straight hair and she has green eyes, and people say that she's white. Is it about the color of your skin or what? You know, I can't understand it. But the fact is, I don't care. It's funny because I don't really care. I was talking to an American friend of mine who works with me here in the company yesterday about the same topic, and I asked him if he thought I was black, and he said, "No, you're not black, you are Latino." But my Brazilian friend who was in the same room with us said that in his opinion I am a black man. You know, he's Brazilian, and he looked at me and said, "Oh, in my opinion you're black." Well, I understand that because some people call me Mr. Black Horse, remember? Yeah, I don't know why I'm saying this thing right now, sorry. Well, I don't have a channel on next videos, okay? Please don't search for Mr. Black Horse over there. You won't find anything, okay? Seriously. Oh man, let me focus. Well, I want to give a conclusion to this video, and as I said before, I've never felt that I suffered any kind of racism or prejudice. You know, even when people were being racist to me, I didn't notice that because I've never seen myself as a black person or as a white person. For me, I've only seen myself as a person, you know. So when people were being racist to me, I just didn't care, and basically when people made fun of me, I made fun of the person, you know, back. And I was lucky because I've never really felt any kind of prejudice or racism in a situation like going to the bank or whatever, you know. No, I've always been respected, so I highly recommend that you go to Britain without any kind of concern, or you shouldn't be worried about suffering racism or prejudice because it doesn't really happen quite often, you know. To be very unlikely that you're gonna suffer from racism in the UK. Have you ever seen that video in which Morgan Freeman is talking about racism? He says something that I agree, you know, 100% with him. When I edit the video, I'll add this video here for you to see, you know. It's genius, you know, what he says is genius, so watch this please, it's really quick. 1, 2, 3, now.
Black History Month you find
Ridiculous.
why?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is May? No, well, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay. Which month is Jewish History Month?
February?
Oh. Oh. Why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
No. I don't either. I don't want a Black History. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism on some?
And I'm going to ask you about calling me a black man. I know you as Mike Wallace. You know me as Morgan Freeman.
Well, thank you very much for watching this video. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, like our page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. Please join our group on Telegram and practice your English with voice messages and text messages. If you sympathize with my channel, please become a patron and help me to continue with this project. Just click in the first link in the description of the video and check the rewards and benefits you can get from becoming a patron. Please follow me on Instagram. I'll try to post videos there on a daily basis, so you're going to have the opportunity to have contact with English every day on Instagram. Well, thank you very much for everything, and I'll see you next class.